right there from my new backing tracks course that you can purchase for $20. It's a one-time-a-year purchase. I'm going to be releasing a backing track every Friday for the year, and I'm already full through January and February, and it started on March already, but those are hidden. So the goal of all this, go back to my scene here. Hello, hi, I'm Dr. McFarland, aka Nathan, as I'm known by some people. Let me know how the audio is. I feel like it sounded good in my ears. I was pretty happy with it. But I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me how it sounds. I think it sounds pretty good in my ears. I am using the Apollo X4 in conjunction with the Apollo X8, and I'm using Ecamm Live, and it's all sounding pretty good on my end. So Sean White is in the house. Hello, Sean. He says, "Is that a Chapman?" Wow, who is that? Guitar company. So this is a Chapman ML3 Pro Traditional. So I'm pretty sure this was a Sweetwater exclusive. And my guitar sounds really good, but I feel like my voice is like double or something. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But you let me know how it sounds, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to have to go into the old live stream and double check my work here. But yeah, a few months ago, I had this weird hankering to try out some Chapman guitars because I saw that they had stainless steel frets on all the Pro models. So what I was able to do was go in and that's up. Okay. I basically this is a small amount of research and found that the Pro models, i.e. the ML1, the ML2, and ML3, all has stainless steel frets. And I was very, very, very interested in that because over the years I've spent not tons of money, but quite a good amount of money on fret dresses, everything along, having to do with frets and guitar setups. And if I was going to buy another guitar, I was going to pick something that I thought was like really pretty, which I think, this one is a really pretty guitar. It's got a nice flame cap on it. I'm not sure if it's it looks like it's pretty solid, right? You see the wood going all the way around. So it's a nice solid piece of wood on top of there. It does have the P90s, a very simple volume and tone right there. It's got a 3-way selector switch and the reverse headstock. It's probably going to want to get on my face, I'm sure. Hip shot tuners on the back, which are locking. So it's very easy to string up and change the strings and all that stuff. It does have the F hole right there, which I always wanted some kind of telly with an F hole in it, because I just think they're really cool. And if you look at the neck joint here, this is a set neck, but they've really carved out this this upper access point. So you can really get up there and get all those higher frets and whatever else. So Sean says he always wanted to try the Rabia signature, which I'm sure is great. I'm sure it sounds really good. So, Sean, how is my voice sounding right now compared to my guitar? All right, All right, so going back to my backing tracks here. I'm going to do one a week. And these are going to be for those people that either are beginner level and they're just starting to learn chords. And what this does, it gives you a 10-minute video of just the same chord progression over and over and over and over. So if you want to learn, like in that song, it was A minor, right? So you got to put your first, or I use the glued shape when I teach guitar. So you got a glued shape and then you have a diagonal shape. So you're going to glue your middle two fingers together, put it on the second fret on the fourth and third strings right here. Right, then put your first finger on the first fret. Are you saying my voice sounds a little different than normal? Because I've checked on my guitar sounds fine. I've checked on my settings and I feel like everything is pretty good. I will take off the oxide thing here. Check, check, 1, 2, check, check. I think it's a little bit better. I think there's some latency going on that I was hearing on my end. And you can adjust all that stuff in the hardware and the latency compensation type stuff. Check, check. So that sounds good now. All right. So whatever it was, it is fine now. Right. So you're gonna do A minor. Okay. And then you're gonna go to G, which is second finger on the second fret, A string. And then third finger on the bottom string on the third fret. And then fourth finger on the top string on the top string right here on the third fret. Okay, so if you're just playing, you're going 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, then G. So it gives you plenty of time to think about the next chord and play those chords. Just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And after the end of 10 minutes, you're like, hey, I think I'm a little bit better than I was before I started. So then it goes to F. So you can either learn to play F like this, which is a straight bar with your finger, and then you curve your fingers over to play the second and the third frets. You go back to G. Just like that. And then back to A minor. Okay, so these are backing tracks for you to grab your acoustic guitar and just learn to play chords. And I'll also provide some tabs or some chord voicing pictures so you actually see what the chord looks like. I haven't got around to doing that yet, but I will be pretty soon. Because this is an educational kind of thing for you to just, go online, have a nice safe place to go and learn about all things music, and a great way to practice chords, great way to practice your improvising if you're a little more intermediate in your playing or more advanced in your playing. You can work on your pentatonic scales, work on how different scale shapes and fit over the different triads or chord voicings, if you will. So it's just a great practice tool. And I decided to make it a once a year purchase of $20. So that gets you in dirt cheap. There's really you don't have to commit to, hundreds of dollars a year to access all this stuff. Just one-time payment of $20. That gets you 52 backing tracks. That's going to be like bluesy. It can be rock. It could be country. It could be jazz. metal, all kinds of different stuff. So, so if you want to come back every week to the website and just check out a new backing track, that'd be awesome. I put these here up for you guys to learn and grow and be a more confident musician, which is what my website is all about. So, all right. So tonight's topic is: do you have the fear of FOMO? Which FOMO stands for fear of missing out. So, do you fear even having the fear of missing out? And what that means is you could probably branch this out a little farther into think about your guitar heroes for a second, or just your favorite musicians, or it could be your favorite sports person, or whatever that is. Right? You can have mentors and heroes and people you look up to in all kinds of facets of life. And I'm gonna check this compressor here. I feel like something's. I mean, it sounds fine to me, but check 1 2. I think I'm kissing the compressor just a little too much. So there we go. This is the I'm using the Apollo X4 or the Apollo setup, and on the auxiliary output, I'm using a Fairchild 760 or 670, whatever this is. Yeah, 670. So it's just a little bit of compression on the way out and a little bit of EQ as well. All going out of the aux 2 output here. And then, but I'm monitoring through Q1 of the Apollo. So I'll be sure to do a separate video on my live stream video setup. Because once you get it all going, it's actually pretty easy to understand, and you can just store it as a preset and just call it up whenever you're ready to do a live stream. So, but anyway, think about your favorite hero, person, president, whoever that is. And oftentimes you'll be like, hey, I think that runner or that basketball player is wearing Michael Jordan shoes, right? Or they're wearing a certain headband or a certain jersey or practice clothing or whatever that is. So you feel like now, maybe through inspiration, maybe through all kinds of reasons, now you feel like I'm not going to be a good blank, whether that's sports person, musician, whatever, unless I have this certain item. It could be a headband, it could be a Kemper, it could be a quad cortex, it could be a headrush, it could be a certain guitar, right? That's why Les Paul and Fender Stratocaster sales over the years are just like, they're the top of any selling, brand there are as far as guitars go. We could talk about any kind of category you want, but I'm just, I'm a musician, so I come from it from a musician set, point of view. But I think that's why certain gear items sell really well, not because they're necessarily good, which they are. I think if you're going to buy a Les Paul, I mean, regardless of what you think about Gibson or Les Pauls in general, they are a very iconic guitar. And if your favorite band is Guns N' Roses and you look at Slash up on stage, obviously he's playing a Les Paul 99% of the time. So, so you're going to want a Les Paul. Or if you look at Eric Clapton or Stevie Ray Vaughan or a more modern player like John Mayer or anybody like that, they play Stratocasters primarily, or at least John Mayer did until he went with PRS. But even PRS is a good example. I know, Sean, you play PRS. You have a few that you use. And so it's just the concept of, I see that person using a certain brand of guitar or pedal or socks or shoes or headbands or workout clothes, whatever that is. and you feel like you have to have that item in order to be successful at whatever you want to do. And honestly, uh, this is very rampant in Facebook forums or Facebook groups. I mean, I I'm not exempt from any of this, right? I join Facebook groups to one help teach other people, or at least give proper answers to questions that I see in the Facebook groups and also on forums or whatever else. And two, I joined those groups because it's just fun sharing. Like, hey, this is what I used today for this gig, or this is what I'm doing today in the studio, kind of thing. So you're sharing gear, all the time. And, this is a great way to learn from other people. I can look at someone's pedal board setup and be like, hey, I like that pedal right there. I like how it's arranged. It gives me a good idea and gives me inspiration to maybe go off and build my own pedal board or do something cool with a certain piece of gear. Um, but at a certain point, I feel like this can happen to anybody. I really feel like that desiring a certain piece of gear and then obtaining that gear, uh, I almost feel like there's like a certain status level that you're in. It's like, oh, I don't play that Boss stuff anymore. Now I'm really using a quad cortex, and I'm like really a real musician now because I'm using professional gear, right? Um, and that's all well and good, but I think you have to have the chops to back it up as well. Just because you're able to earn money and save for a certain piece of gear, which is perfectly fine. You can do whatever you want with your money. Um, that thinking you can attain a certain piece of gear and now your status level goes up a little bit, but you've neglected the art of actually playing your instrument, practicing to get better. Um, because just because you get a piece of gear doesn't mean you're automatically just going to sound amazing and play way better than you did the day before. Um, Now, gear certainly does inspire people to practice more, play longer hours, maybe get together with a group of buddies and you have a jam night. So you're just always in that mode of learning new skills and testing those skills in either a live environment or in the studio environment. So, so we can take this Chapman guitar for instance. This was not something I had to have in order to be a musician, right? It was just something that I thought was really pretty. It had the stainless steel frets, like I mentioned before, that I really like having because I don't have to, I don't have to do fret dresses at all. But it's definitely not a Les Paul, and it's definitely not a Fender Strat by any means. Um, but it kind of has its own vibe. So that's something you can think about as well. Is sure you can aspire to get that Les Paul or that Fender Strat or that Marshall half stack or a PRS DGT or whatever wherever that is, and if that's something that you feel is going to inspire you to play more, sound better, check off all those boxes on your list of things that that this piece of gear might do for you, um, then by all means, go ahead and get it. Um, because there is a certain aspect of being inspired and aspiring to be a certain musician. Because maybe your favorite person is Eric Clapton or Slash or um, Nuno Betancourt or whoever that is for you. And if they inspire you to just practice all the time and get better, then that's great. Um, I've been going here lately. Uh, I've been buying pretty much all the major modelers So far I've had the Helix. I've had the Headrush for the longest, but I have the Helix, the Kemper, the Quad Cortex, and a Fractal AX8. And I'm on the list, the waiting list for a Fractal FM9. And I think for me, it's not really a matter of, I don't fear I'm missing out on something just because I've been playing Headrush for so long that getting an FM9 is going to make me magically, play way better and apply all the notes I know on the fretboard in a cooler way. And I'm not, so far in my 25 years of playing, I can't play like Jonathan Nathan Cordy. I can't do all the like cool legato stuff, right? Or even Rabea. I don't know how to say it. Nobody knows how to say his name, I think, except for him. Right? I mean, the guy just shreds, and like I can play a Chapman guitar all I want, but I'm never gonna play like Rob Chapman or Rabea Masad. So it's just not gonna happen. I need to get back into the woodshed and play a lot more. But this is really inspiring to play. This is something that makes me want to play more, which I really like. Especially when you have a really nice clean tone like this with a little ambience in the background. So I want to open up this chat here to you people who are watching, and you let me know if you want to aspire to get a certain piece of gear, but what that's actually going to do for you. I mean, you could be perfectly fine playing your tube amp or even a solid state amp. I mean, let's just go all the way down to like a Boss Katana. Would you feel like you are losing a certain piece of status in the musical community by playing a Boss Katana at all your gigs? Do you have to show up with a Marshall head and a half stack and a floorboard full of pedals, or are you okay with playing a Boss Katana or a PV Bandit? Who wants to play a PV Bandit the rest of their life and have nothing else to use except for those two channels? You got a clean channel, you have an overdrive channel, and do you feel like your status as a musician would go down if you didn't play the Kempers or the Fractals or the Quad Cortexes or whatever that is, right? Now I'm really happy for people that if you want to get a Quad Cortex and you love everything it does, you like showing off your board in the Facebook groups and the forums and whatever else, hey, go right ahead. That's perfectly fine. Uh, you work hard for your money. You can do whatever you want. But I just hope that we're not aspiring to get gear just to show off your gear pictures on a Facebook group or Instagram or whatever else, right? They call it guitar porn, right? Where it's just like, oh, I can just scroll through and just look at all the cool guitars and the pedal boards and the amplifiers and all the different stuff. Um, but it's amazing when you watch a really good player just play through like mediocre pieces of gear and they still sound amazing. So at a certain point, gear is fun, gear is great, gear makes us happy, gear inspires us to practice and do bigger things. Um, but it can't be everything at the end of the day. You have to be able to play your instrument to the best of your ability. So y'all chime in. I want to hear from you people. And at one point we had 7 people watching, and then it dropped down to 0. So I don't know what's going on with that. I might be boring everybody. I don't know. But I'm going to play a little bit. And I want you to guess what I'm playing through right now. Obviously, I'm playing a Chapman ML3 Pro Traditional. This is actually the this is a Guitar Center exclusive, I'm pretty sure, back when they first came out. And it's got a fairly thick neck on it. Feels really good. But it's buttery smooth. I mean, this is like a silky finish on everything. Just feels really nice. It has a nice belly cut right here. So it just sits against your body really nice. But y'all chime in. Let me know what you think I'm playing through right now. Okay. Okay, let me turn off the effects. Okay, so you just get what is this one? Okay, this has a compressor on it and everything else is dry. So here we go. Middle pickup. Bridge pickup. All right, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think I'm playing through right now. It is a digital Mahler, but which one is it? Is it if you've watched my post here on YouTube and also some groups. Fender Deluxe. Ooh, maybe. I might be playing through a Fender Deluxe. Let me see something here. Okay, here we are. What are we playing through now? Sounds like a Deluxe, right? Let me put on some reverb. A little bit of spring in there. Okay, you're all guessing some good guesses there. So you're trying to guess what amp I'm playing through, which I already said it's a Mahler, but which Mahler is it? Is it the Helix? Is it the Quad Cortex? Is it the Kemper? Is it the Headrush? Or is it the Fractal AX8? That's what I want to know. What do you think it is? Nice. Let's turn on the another whatever this is. Listen to that. What kind of modeler would have that kind of reverb? Some kind of Fender breakup. They're very close. So Sean, let me point out something that Sean said here. So he plays different. He plays different on certain guitars, either the feel of guitar or tone of pickups, amps too. So that's very true. I do like to think of tones in different categories because you have your clean, your crunch, your lead, your ambient, stuff like that. And as long as it's clean, I don't think it really matters if it's a Fender or if it's a Mesa Boogie Lone Star or if it's a, Mashless DC30. I mean, whatever you want. Most of the time, I think it's very hard to tell what an amp is in a mix, like in the actual finished recording, unless you just saw a picture of what it was. Otherwise, like, Brad Paisley, okay, it could be, this is a country guy, right? So Brad Paisley mainly plays AC30s, but he also plays like Trainwrecks. He plays like Morgan AC20s, AC whatever models they are. But they all have that AC30-ish kind of sound, if that makes any sense. Let me go to another one here. Here's another clean tone. Now that very well could be a Fender Twin. It could be. I'm not going to say what that is, but it could be a Fender Twin. Because it's clean. It has lots of headroom to it. Right? Sean is guessing the Quad Cortex. I don't know. Is it a Quad Cortex? Andrew, I am playing, and I want you to tell me, I want you to guess which Mahler I'm playing tonight. Can a Helix sound like that? Is it a Kemper? Is it a Quad Cortex? Is it a Fractal? I do have a little bit of compression going on before the amp. I am playing the Chapman ML3 Pro Traditional. This is a very nice thick neck. Not too thick, but it's definitely, it's got some meat to it. Stainless steel frets, F-hole right there. A nice solid top. It's got the carved set neck right there, so you can get your access all the way up there in the frets. That's what I'm saying, Andrew. You have to pay attention to what I'm doing throughout the week. So let me powers of deduction. That's right. So I definitely sold the Helix. Let me go to some QC amps over here. Did I just give it away? I don't know. Maybe I'm playing a QC model through something else. Maybe that gives it away. Here's the JP2C clean channel for the new John Petrucci quad cortex model. It's interesting how this neck pickup, I'm not sure where it's supposed to be in relation to like how far away it is from the bridge, but it's very warm sounding. It's a little darker than like a Telecaster or the neck pickup on a Strat. I mean, I know it's a P90, but still, it's I'm having fun driving y'all crazy. Thank you. Haslogarar, something like that. And if you're new to the live stream or to the channel, be sure to subscribe down below. And while you're in the chat, let me know your name, where you're from, and what kind of guitar you prefer to play. Because I do like, remembering and learning people's names as they show up every week or each week in the chat. So I'm getting used to Andrew coming in. Sean from Kentucky usually comes in. I know Andrew's like infuriated right now. You sold the Helix. How could you? It's the best thing ever. I know. I just had to do it. Actually, it's a funny story. So I've had it up on Marketplace for a while, and a guy here locally in Nashville, he said his Helix, the input of his Helix just went out, right? No sound at all. It couldn't be fixed or not in a reasonable amount of time. And he saw my deal on Marketplace and he just snatched it right up. So he was like, all right, well, there's that. I do have the opportunity to sell my Headrush pedal board at the moment. But the guy's asking like 150 less than what I'm asking for. Cause I guess another guy that he knows at his church was using a Headrush and it just died on him. And apparently it's going to cost him like $600 to fix, which that doesn't make a lot of sense. But the pedal boards are technically discontinued right now, either due to part shortages or maybe they're just doing something different, or maybe coming out with a new unit of some sort. We just don't know. So he was so his friend was going to buy him a Headrush pedal board. So he was offering me a little bit less than what I was wanting, in hopes that, he could just, that's all the money they had apparently. And, I'm thinking about it. I've had the Headrush for a very long time. I still have the gig board and the MX5. So if I lower the price a little bit and sell it off, I don't think I'm going to be hurting too much. I can still make plenty of videos with the MX5 and the gig board, which I kind of like anyway. I'm not saying I don't like the pedal board, but I got so many options to play with here in the studio. I just don't need all three units other than just to make videos with. So Sean White's blasphemy. I know. I mean, I would still like to keep the pedal board just really to make videos with. I mean, but really the MX5, the gig board, and the pedal board all have the exact same power. You can, like, all the rigs are uniform across all three units. So if I sold the pedal board, I don't think I'm really missing out all that much because I have some other options. I can still build my Headrush rigs and all that different stuff. So not the pedal board. I know. I mean, it's kind of, if it is truly discontinued, it's kind of like a collector's item at this point. And I should probably just frame it and put it on my wall somewhere. That'd be stupid. But anyway, it's up on Marketplace. If somebody wants to pay me the actual asking price that I'm asking, Um, I'll sell it off, pay off some debt. I got a bathroom downstairs I'm trying to finish up for the studio. So, I got to get money from somewhere. Who has one more guess? Die Hard THU Slate plugin for guitar. I've heard of that actually. Frame it. Yeah, it's kind of like if you had the Helix, the Stomp, a Pod Go, the Stomp XL, whatever that is, and the Helix, the native plugin. I mean, what if you had like 6 Helix products? I mean, surely you're not using all those all the time. I guess you could be. You could throw the Stomp in a bag for a certain kind of gig. Maybe use the full size uh, Helix floor for certain types of gigs, or maybe you just keep it in the studio. I mean, I don't know. At a certain point, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to keep all of it. But I am kind of the headrush guy, so I don't know. It's a tough decision. All right, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to guess what I'm playing through right now before I reveal the answer. Andrew thinks it's the Quad Cortex. I am playing a Quad Cortex model of an amp. This is the John Petrucci JP2C clean channel. Listen to that. There's another reverb. It's got a little shimmer in there. Yeah, it sounds nice. Here's back to the bridge pickup. And here's the JP2C channel 2. Okay, so last week, was it Friday? I think it was Friday. I did sell the Quad Cortex because I'll probably do another video explaining this, but we can chat up here on the live stream. So the Quad Cortex is sold. Why did I sell the Quad Cortex? Well, I like the touchscreen, obviously, because I'm a headrush guy. So, they both have touchscreens, which is great. You can change the parameters of any block with the rotary encoder switches, which is really cool. But there are some slight annoyances about it that I just, it wasn't worth it to me to keep that expensive of a unit if I just wasn't totally in love with it. One, it had very, very basic delay and reverb algorithms. It did have one shimmer reverb, which is fine. It didn't have an auto volume echo kind of auto swell feature. It didn't have an auto wah feature like the Headrush does. Is missing, the special kind of effects like, more shimmery delays and reverbs and stuff. And I know they can add all that later, but it just doesn't make sense for me to hold on to that expensive of a unit in hopes that they add things later. Now, if you buy a Headrush MX5 for $399 or $499, whatever it is now, that's not ton. I mean, it's or $500 is a lot of money to some people, but that's not as much as a quad cortex, which is 18 ish, and then after you pay taxes is more like $2,000. I mean, I did get mine on a demo through Sweetwater, and that is currently on a Sweetwater credit card, which I'm just paying monthly for. So, I sold it so I can pay off the card and not have to pay as much monthly as I'm doing right now. Because I do have some other stuff on the card, like some studio gear that I just thought I needed for the studio. Um, so at a certain point, it just came down to if I'm not totally in love with all the features, and I mean, obviously it sounded really good. I mean, I did love the sound, uh, but for something being that small, I didn't like how close the switches were to each other. So I really never would. I would never want to play it live unless I put it on a dedicated pedal board, kind of sitting up a little bit higher. But then you have to buy a separate power supply, which is what most people do. If you look on the Quad Cortex Facebook group, they got the little pedal boards all set up, all nice and cute, and with all the cables routed and all the cool stuff. You take a picture and hey, look at my kid, whatever. It's all fun stuff. But anyway, it's just kind of expensive. So, and really, I just like the head. I like what the pedal board does better. What the headrest does better than the QC. Those are the main features of why I like the headrest over the QC. So I'll do a separate video on doing the AB comparisons between the headrest and the quad cortex. But the QC is gone. I said bye bye to that thing, and when was it? Probably like a month and a half ago, I sold off the Fractal AX8 because once again, that's a really cool unit. And the amps effects sounded amazing. They sound really, really good. But there's some limitations as far as CPU goes on the AX8 that I just mentally couldn't overcome. Like you were only allowed one reverb block. That's kind of a deal breaker for me because I like to have an always on reverb and then a secondary reverb for your ambient type stuff. Like as of right now, I have a reverb last in the chain, but I also have another reverb on another block that's supplying more of the more of the special type of sound, the ambient effect, do that shimmery kind of thing. Yeah, so due to other reasons about the Fractal AX8, and I did get on the FM9 waiting list. So because I am going to try the FM9. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to try it out, give it a good, college try, see if I really like it or not. But if I do, that's going to give me a decision. So right now, let me give this away. Right now, I am playing through a Kemper. Okay. This is the Kemper stage right over here. Sorry, I don't have a camera on it tonight. But you all know what a Kemper stage looks like. So I got the Kemper stage, and what I did before I sold off the Quad Cortex was I profiled the amps, a few of the amps in the Quad Cortex. So this is one performance, I called it the QC amps, and rig 1 is the JP2C clean channel. Okay. Rig 2 is the JP2C channel 2, which is more of your filthy overdrive stuff. Okay. I feel like this. Let me know how my volume is out there, folks. Hopefully everything's sounding fine. Then the third rig is the Brit JL, which is a Jubilee amp. Yeah, I call it Jubilee. So it's just a Marshall Jubilee. So at Sweetwater. Yes. Sorry, I learned that song today because, like, I think I know that riff. Yeah, it's pretty easy, very catchy, very peppy, very snappy. The fourth rig is the Bogner. It's a Bogner Super Lead or something like that. So. But really, if you compare these three dirty channels, obviously that's a little more, brighter on the top end. The Jubilee, it's good. It just has a good thick sound to it. And then the Bogner, those two really sound very close. Other than the delay that's on, so Bogner, Jubilee. I mean, really in a mix, it'd be very hard to tell them apart. But the reason why I like different amps, especially for a recording, is you can play, let's say you want to double a guitar part, like a rhythm part or something. So you would choose an amp, or you can change guitars as well, but usually you can play one guitar, switch to a different amp, or maybe you want to switch to a different pickup, just something where you have your A sound, then your B sound, then you pan them hard left and right, and you get this really wide, like really big and thick sounding guitar tone, because you're using technically two different tones for your whatever rhythm track you're recording or whatever that is. So, oh man. All right, so let's check the comments here. Sean says that's cheating. Well, yes and no. I have a like, for instance, I could profile a Quilter Interblock 45 and it would sound pretty good. Pretty good. I have a Blue Guitar Amp 1 that sounds really good. It's a 100-watt amp. Jordan Job, if you're watching, I do approve of the Amp 2 from Black Star. He tried to send me a message on Facebook, and for some reason I couldn't respond. I don't know why, but I just couldn't. So yeah, before I sold off the QC, I was like, hey, let's just go ahead and profile some amps on the Cortex, and here they are on the Kemper. So I do have a video coming out comparing the sound I was getting on the Quad Cortex versus the actual profile I got after with the Kemper. So you can listen back and forth between the two different files. I did like 3 or 4 different amps that way, just to give a good variety of like cleans and crunch and whatever else it was. And it was essentially these 4 amps right here. So you got the clean of the JP2C, the channel 2 of the JP2C, a Marshall Jubilee, and a Bogner Super Lead or whatever this is. So yeah. So what I was doing earlier was I was going to There's a guy named Bert. It's Bert M. I call him because I can never remember his last name. But he has some great Kemper profiles. So this is one of a deluxe. Then the next one is clean, but has some has like a little more crunch to it. And then the third one is a crunch with some swell and delay and reverb. Okay. And this is a crunch with delay. Turn the ambient stuff off. So, believe it or not, that's a profile of a deluxe amplifier. And Bert M just did like some clean and crunch and lead type tones, and that one sounds great. I can make it through a whole gig at church just with those tones right there. Okay, let's check the time here. We've gone for about an hour, so that's fine. All right, so my guitar apparently is getting too loud. Now it's funny because let me go to my aux 2 stands. So it's not showing up very loud over here, so it's not clipping or anything. It's not clipping. It's not being compressed by the Fairchild. So I just don't know. I don't know why I'd be messing up like that. Let me play this here. And there's that. It's not clipping. It's not being compressed by the Fairchild. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It might just be the internet being funny again. So. Okay, so with all that said, tonight I'm playing through a Kemper. Here's some Laney tones from a Laney, one of those Laney amps, like a Lionheart or something. Then channel 2. And then 3 with some tremolo. And 4 with a distortion. And then 5 with whatever this is. Whatever you think about the Kemper, this thing sounds great. And so that's another reason why I feel like if I got the email saying, "Hey, you're next on the list to buy a FM9," I'm like, "Well, okay, I'll fork over the money for an FM9." And at that point, I can decide. It's like, all right, do I really like the FM9 enough to keep it? Because I wouldn't keep the Kemper and the FM9. That's too much money tied up in things that I just use to make videos with and use around the studio. Because I don't play live other than church. I'm not in a band. I don't need to play a full set list for hundreds of people a night. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense for me personally to have that much money tied up in gear that I just basically don't need. Now I do have a lot of guitars. I have one, two, three, four, five. I have 6 Reverend guitars right now, which I am selling off a few. I think I'm going to keep 2 electrics and then keep my bass. That's 3 Reverends. I'll have my 2 Chapman guitars. This is the ML3. Also, I have an ML2 at work that I just left at work. I didn't bring it home with me. But I'll be doing videos on the Chapman stuff here very soon. And I have a Dobro. I have my, if you can see it, I have my Eastman acoustic guitar back there. Also have an Eastman T59V, which is your 335 style, Michael J. Fox, red Gibson 335, like Back to the Future style guitar, which that's what I associate it with. And I have an Eastman mandolin, which is really nice. And I have a banjo and my dobro. And I got a cool electronic drum kit over here called an F Note 5. So stuff like this, I mean, it's cool to have around and just kind of play with, but I mean, I don't need it. I could technically just sell it off and lighten the load, if you will, a little bit. So I will be doing a full video series on the Kemper, probably starting next week. Because what I did with the AX8 before I sold it off was I made 13 videos in a row, just like all in one night. Now my job is to go through and edit all those and then release them, once a week or so, and all that. So I figured that'd give me a good buffer of not having to shoot tons of footage all at once, or at least for a lot of different stuff. I can just do it all at once and then edit it and then release when I'm ready. So I'll do the same thing for the Kemper, and then if and when I get the Fractal FM9, I'll do a full video series on the FM9. And it's not, and let's go back to the original topic here. It's not because I fear I'm missing out on tones that I just can't get from anything else. Headrush sounds good. I can do a lot of stuff with the headrush, whether that's recording or playing live. But for me, being an educator and being a YouTuber and being a musician just in general, and just being curious about what other things are like, I don't mind trying out the FM9 for a few months, and if I don't like it, I can just sell it off. Or if I feel like it really just has way more strengths than the Kemper does, then I'll just sell the Kemper and use the FM9. So that way I'd be down to an FM9. I'd have my headrush stuff I can still use. I have a Boss Katana back there that is a great sounding amp. I do have a Supro Delta King 12, which is just a good all around tube amp. And I got my herd of guitars over here, and I'm good to go. That's pretty much all I need. So yeah, it'll be a fun little it'll be this next year will be fun. Experiencing some new gear. The blue Guitar Amp X will be out in the summer. Andrew, I'll get to your question here in a minute. The Amp X will be out in the summer, and I love everything that Thomas Blue does. I have an Amp 1 and an HX Effects set up right now, which I also left at work. I'll actually play through that rig next week. How about that? I can play my Amp 1 and HX Effects, my Helix, my Line 6 HX Effects for all you Andrew people out there that really like the Helix. So, Yeah, I'll do that next week. But Andrew is asking, is the FM9 user friendly? So I can tell you my experience with the AX8, as in I did have to read the manual. I did watch some videos on YouTube from Leon Todd and some other fractal guys, but really reading the manual was the most beneficial to me, because I kind of learned what the heart was of the company and how well they supported their product. And you can tell a lot by a company about how well their manual is written and how thorough it is and how easy it is to explain, this and that or whatever. So yeah, the AX8 manual was very easy to read. It's all the same kind of guitar-ish kind of concepts that you would get from any other device, whether you're using a real amp or real pedals or a Mahler of some sort. Let me put this down a little bit. So I think with all that said, if you don't know anything about the fractal world, then it could be a little daunting at first to kind of figure out which buttons to push. But that's exactly why I don't play video games. I mean, really, you got the up and down arrows and the left and right arrows and the A and B over here, and you got your toggle things. You're trying to jump and punch and fight and drive a car, and none of it's hard. But you're not going to get good at video games if you never play them. So you just got to sit down with whatever gear you have, and you have to learn it. You have to learn what the buttons do and what to push and what not to push and to do just certain things. So I would say the FM9 is not inherently user friendly, but it can be once you read the manual and you get acquainted with the features and just the workflow. It really comes down to workflow. Every unit has a certain workflow. The Headrush and the Quad Cortex has the touch screen. The big touch screen, you can just grab your finger and move things around, which is great. The Helix has more of like the toggle. You can like turn the toggle wheel and move it around and push on things. And but even the Helix, I mean, it's not, I mean, a child couldn't learn to, just inherently know how to use it. But once you, use the product for a little bit, the Helix is actually very, very easy to use. So I would say the FM9 is just as easy. Let's talk about guitar chords for a second, right? So, this G chord right here. Let's go back over to my clean tone. Right, this G to a beginner, this G chord is very hard. They're not used to like bending their finger over and putting the other two fingers like all the way across the fretboard, and it's hard for some people. But once you get used to it, after practicing with my backing tracks for $20 on my website, shameless plug, you get better and better and better with it. So this G chord is really no harder than this E over G sharp chord that I like to play a lot, right? It looks like it's all stretched out, but really it's just a power chord played on the top frets, E, B, E. Then your second finger comes over and play G sharp in the bass. Like so. So if you can learn to play this, you can learn to play this. Or a D minor 9. Or an A minor 7 shape over here, right? Or even this chord. This is a C major. Actually, what is this? Yeah, this is a C major 7. But this is also a C major 7. Right? because you have the half steps in a different space or different spot within the voicing, that sounds different than this, even though they're the exact same notes. Right? We got that. And we got that. So all C major 7 chords, but they sound different depending on what voicing they're in. And each shape is not any harder to learn than just a regular old C chord. Right? You can play a C major 7 like this. So there's a C major 7. Put the finger back on. There's regular C. But then if you go here, this one is a little bit harder. I need to practice this more. Right? That's C major 7, C major 7, C major 7, C major 7. So there you go. Actually, that's not a C major 7. What is it? It's I mean, that's one for sure. Oh, I think we're back up to whatever the last one is. I can't remember. But anyway, it's just all analogies of once you learn to do something, nothing is really hard. You just have to learn it. My daughter right now, who's 9, she's learning how to count. You know, like, okay, write out. If I say what is 490,671,402, she's learning all of her decimal points in her places of like tens, hundreds, 1,000s, hundreds of thousands, then on to your millions, your trillions, your billion, all that different stuff, right? So it's just a matter of breaking it down and learning what it is and how to use it. This is pretty easy. So sorry, there was a long rant on is the FM9 user friendly? I say yeah, sure. Not at first. You have to read the manual, but once you get used to it, it's not very hard to do. So I do have my router plugged into my computer via an Ethernet cable. So I'm not really sure. Let me test my live stream here. Let me bring this up. Not at first. You have to read the manual. I have a lag here on the stream. Let me test my guitar sound here. I do have my router plugged into my computer via Ethernet. Yeah, the lag is really behind. It's got to be at least 15 seconds. Yeah, it doesn't sound all that great. I mean, it sounds fine, but not as good as it could be. It sounds really good in my ears, but let's go to my inputs. I don't have a unison preamp on there. I don't have any inserts on my guitar. That could be causing it to, that could be causing it to like duck down or do anything weird. I do like this routing option though. Let me show you what I'm doing. Well, maybe not. We can do that another time. Do that another time, shall we? So if y'all don't have any other questions, we can wrap it up here. I have a long night of finishing up some demos for some clients here in the studio. I am Doctor McFarland Studios, so I actually am a audio engineer, whatever that is. And I do demos for people. I record singers, full bands, If you want to do a drum session, I can do that down in the garage. I have a nice 27 by 27 foot garage. That sounds pretty good. Very lively for drums. It is nice and dead up here in the main control room. I have a cloud overhead and some panels around at the first reflection points, bass traps in the corner. I feel that's a pretty decent sounding room. I have my booth back there right behind me, my vocal booth. I have fit a drum set back there before, and I have, but it's big enough for like cellos, violins, singers, acoustic guitar, whatever it is. So if you have, I do mixing, I do mastering. So if you know anybody here in the Nashville area that wants to record a few songs, maybe make an EP, maybe make a full length album, I'm available for all that. If you want to work remotely and send me tracks to mix, or you want me to do a demo of a song that you've written and you just don't have the means of recording a good demo yourself, just record whatever you have on your phone, send it to me. I'll take what you've done and I'll flesh it out with drums, bass, guitar. I'll bring a singer in here to sing it. Or I can just do the basic music and then send it back to you. And then maybe you can do your own vocal or whatever you want to do. So I am available for all that. And feel free to check out my website, drmcfarlandstudios.com, where I have courses on music theory, recording, all things head rush, and many, many more things to come as the year progresses. I'm going to be very busy on the website this year. So lots of teaching, lots of knowledge up here. I just need to unleash into the world. And I do all that on my website and here on the YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe down below and click the bell. And that's about it. So thanks, guys, for watching. I will see you next week for Tac-O-Bout gear on Tuesdays. I did take a picture of my dinner tonight, which is enchiladas, rice, and beans. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this or not. Who called me? Who's calling me? Oh, all those were earlier today. Weird. I think my phone has like this weird, like it's not getting the phone calls right away. Let's see if this will pick up. Yeah. Enchilada, rice, and beans, baby, for Taco Tuesday, where we taco about gear. Get it? Tacos, Tac-O-Bout. I thought it was a cool idea. But anyway, y'all have a blessed rest of your week. Let me know if you have any questions. You can message me privately on Facebook, Instagram, through my website, and all that fun stuff. So stay tuned for a Head Rush live stream. We're going to be doing some cool rigs this month about something. I'm not quite sure yet, but it's going to be awesome. So y'all have a great rest of your night, and I will talk to you later.